Welcome to Xogot's modular series on 3D game development. This video will introduce working with animations. Animations can be made directly in Xogot or imported as part of the model. Now, I have this scene set up for my moving platform. It has a node 3D that is the root, and that's because I want to be able to move the location of the platform independently from the animation in the actual game scene. I have an animatable body. This is where the animation is actually going to be applied. I'm going to head over to the animation tab. I'm going to create an animation player, and I'm going to add an animation and give it a descriptive name. There we go. And okay. Now I need to add a track, and I have two ways I can do that. I can do that over here with add track, and you'll see there are all sorts of different options for the type of track that we add. The property track is just for a variety of available properties. Sprite animation track is more for 2D sprites. The 3D position track is for literally changing the position or changing the rotation or changing the scale. The blend shape track is for animations where the mesh instance itself morphs. So that might be a shape key animation imported from another program like Blender. Call method is for animations where you actually want to call functions from your scripts at specific times. And then Bezier curve is for animations with various properties where you want to use a Bezier curve to control that property animation. Audio playback is for animations that use sound, and it does need to be paired with an audio player node. And then the animation playback track is for controlling the order of animations from different players. All right, and so I'm going to choose the position 3D, and I want to make sure I choose my animatable body and select. Now, if I select my moving platform and find my transform settings, I can set whatever I want my starting position to be. That's fine. Click on the plus icon in the bottom corner to add my keyframe. And then I would go through the rest of the process. All right, I'm going to stop here and undo the last couple steps so I can show you a second way that you can add a track in. I can just tap on the key icon and create my track. So this gives me a starting keyframe for the position. If it hadn't given me that keyframe, I could always click on the plus icon to add one. And then I just need to decide where my next keyframe is going to be. Or in fact, if I want this to be that location, like maybe I actually want that number to be lower. I'm going to actually change this to a -1. And I just want to make sure that I commit that change to override the original keyframe. And I have two ways I can do that. I can tap here on the key icon, and that should just update the keyframe. I can also click on the little plus icon down at the bottom. And so when I move to another frame, you can see that that stays in the location. So I'm going to head over to my ending position, which is at 1 second. I just want to point out that you can customize how long the animation lasts. So you can see the default is 1 second, but over here, I could change this to maybe 0.5 seconds or whatever number I happen to want that to be. So I am going to leave it at 1 for now, and I can always come in and change that later. So I want to have my platform move up. So I'm going to go back over to my properties. I'm going to type the new value that I want. And then I just need to make sure that I tap back on the keyframe icon to create that keyframe. And now I can either scrub through to see that movement, or I can play. Now, we have several different options beyond that. So if I come over into the little options drop down here, I can open the animation in the inspector, and you can see I have another place where I can change the length. I can change how this is looping. So does it just loop going forward? And so if I play through, we can see how that just continues going. I'm going to head back, and I actually want this to ping pong because I want this to go up and down like an elevator. There we go. Now, the other thing that I want to do is just turn on autoplay, because in this particular case, I just want my platform to always be moving. And so the little A icon here next to the name is going to turn on autoplay so that it'll just play by default. So I'm going to save my scene. There's already an instance of the moving platform over in my scene. So it's the one on the end over here. And so if I play the game, we can see that platform is moving up and down. All right. Next up, I'm going to go over how to add animations from models that have been imported. Animations saved as actions and shape key animations can be exported with your GLB or FBX file from your modeling or animation software. I use Blender, but there are also some modeling and animation software on the iPad that support the GLB format. All right, so I'm just going to head over to my player scene. And actually, if we take a look in the models folder, it is a GLB file that has some animations included. If I go to the context menu for the model in this scene, I can enable Editable Children, which lets me access all the different parts of the model. So we can see the rigging, we can see the mesh itself, and because they're animations, there's actually an animation player right here. And so we can see that I have 3 different animations that are set up that I can change between, and we can scrub through or play through to see those animations. And so now that I have them available, I'm going to go to my player script and work on getting those animations to actually happen when I want them to. So over in my script tab, my player script is already open. I've actually set up the script ahead of time. I need to, first of all, create a variable to access the animation player for the model. It needs to be an @onReady variable. I've called it animated. And we have 2 ways that we can add the path to the animation player. One is literally just dragging it and dropping it where you want it located. Notice that there is a $sign in front of the name so that it's recognized properly. And I already have that here, so I can get rid of it. And I can also right-click on the animation player and then copy the node path and paste it in. If I do that way, it's not going to have the $sign, so I just want to make sure to add it in front. So I have my variable for the animation player. If I scroll down, you can see that I actually created a function specifically to run the animations. So if the player is touching the ground, so if it's on the floor, and velocity is 0 on all vector 3s, then I'm accessing the animated variable. So I'm accessing the animation player, and I'm telling it to play my idle animation. So if the player is touching the ground but it's not moving, then it's going to play my idle animation. Otherwise, if the player is on the floor but velocity does have something other than 0 on at least one of the vector 3s, then the player is moving, and I want to access the animation player through that animated variable to play the walk animation. And if neither of those things are true, then the player is in the air, which means the player is either jumping or falling. And I think the animation works well for both of those things. In that case, I'm accessing the animation player to play my jumping animation. And back in my physics process function, which is just the default movement script, right after move and slide, I just have my run animations function being called. So I am going to save all of my changes. And if I play through, we can see that idle animation. When my player is falling, it has the jump. If I do the jump action, I get that jump movement. So it's idling. Actually, I'm going to just move that out of the way so we can see the full effect of the idle animation. And that jump, the walk, and there we go. And I just want to mention that there are a lot of other adjustments that you can make to your animation in the script. You can get quite complex and get some really amazing results. So have some fun experimenting, and we'll be back with more 3D videos.